disappointing loss because I thought we did some really, really good things against a very talented, very experienced basketball team. They know who they are. They're hard to get shook. I thought we defended them great. The first half took them out of a lot of their actions, and then the second half they kind of went to, just some isolation stuff, picking on some of our young guys, and we probably didn't handle that very well. And obviously the turnovers were a huge issue, especially the first half. If we keep those turnovers to a minimum, we have a chance to have a double-digit lead at halftime, and then I think the game maybe plays out totally different.
All right, questions for Coach McDermott. Again, he's the Postgame feature. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, Mac, I know you mentioned turnovers, but I just wonder what you thought of the type of turnovers they were. Were they, a variety of getting sped up or decision making or something Xavier was doing to disrupt you? How did you feel?
I thought, we had several just trying to simply feed it to the post. We had a couple in, against some of their pressure. There was a few travels in there. We stepped out of bounds. If there's a turnover, we pretty much had it. So I'm not sure it was one particular thing. Obviously, you got a young team playing on the road, but we had some of our older guys that had turnover problems today too, and they recognize that we need to fix it. There's no question that they understand that, and I think they will.
All right, we're going to John.
Yeah, Greg. It did seem that your team kept battling though, and I wonder what you saw from them, their ability to kind of keep grinding away despite, because those turnovers I'm sure were pretty frustrating to deal with, especially with how they came in bunches.
Yeah, this group's been good. I don't think there's any quit in them whatsoever. And that's an attribute that's going to serve us well the rest of the season and moving forward. But it's a hard building to play. It's a really good basketball team, and we led for 26 of the 40 minutes. We just couldn't quite finish it, and we were better defensively. Obviously, when we had them in front of our bench, where we could kind of help them communicate through some things. We weren't quite as good when it went down in front of their bench, and they could put us in some situations that we couldn't get fixed fast enough. But I still love this team. They're fun to be around every day. They want to get better, and we've got a big week ahead next week.
Yeah, Mac, from Xavier's perspective, it looked like in the second half they just tried to get inside more with their wings as opposed to feeding the post. Just how tough was that to stop?
Yeah, Scruggs didn't score in the first half, and we had a feeling that they were going to try to get him and Johnson going because they've been two of their obviously main scorers. But it's really what makes Xavier good. They can afford to have a guy like Scruggs have a half and Johnson have the half that he had and still be right there in the game. But they took advantage of the size mismatch that we had with R2 on him to start the half. We switched Alex over there. They went after Trey a few times, went after Art a few times, and Hawk a few times. Just really went into some more isolation stuff that we didn't handle quite as well as we should have.
John?
And that you noticed, Greg, when they were making their run, they kind of flipped the momentum of the game. I think it might have been 17-4, 19-4, just offensively. Did you get the shots that you wanted, or what did you see from your guys when the game kind of flipped?
There was a few possessions. I know R2 missed a layup close. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Big Ryan had something in deep. R2, I think, had a wide open three during that stretch. We just tried to put him in space and give him some room to operate. Because I thought his pace was really good today in transition. I thought he really attacked and made some really good reads. But during that stretch, we got some good shots, but we also had some empty possessions, and those are obviously, even though it's not a turnover, it's close to a turnover. When you end up shooting a shot you don't want to shoot in the last 5 seconds.
guess how is Newell doing?
He's sore. He landed pretty hard on that tailbone and lower back, and it's obviously he went in there and it was a lot of contact, and he went down pretty hard. So my guess is he's going to be sore for a day or two.
Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious, but I don't know if it's going to be easy for you to answer this right now, but as you evaluate the last 3 games, how much a lack of game reps is affecting your rhythm and your performances, and if it's been a factor at all in terms of these last 3.
I mean, I don't know how you measure that exactly. Obviously, when you only play 2 games in a month, your timing, your rhythm, the efficiency of your timing on offense is not going to be there, or not going to be as good as it once was. And we need to play some games to try to get some of that back. Now, given this long break, there were certainly times against Marquette we played really good basketball, and there was times today that we played really good basketball. The game at Villanova, we did not play much good basketball except for the first maybe 10 minutes of that game. So, I mean, I don't know that you can measure it because it's so unique in that it just doesn't happen very often where you have this kind of break. And these guys, I give them a lot of credit because they've come to the practice floor with the right attitude and the right work ethic of trying to get better. And I think a lot of teams you'd have a hard time motivating them to practice and try to get better because so many games have been taken from them. So it's definitely a unique and difficult situation, but I think this young group has handled it about as good as I could ask.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yeah, Brian, I just wonder, what did you notice about Xavier's maybe adjustments in the second half that allowed him to kind of get going against you and changing it a little bit?
I think they put a little more emphasis on the offensive glass. They started crashing 3 and 4 quite a bit. That resulted in quite a few points for them. Other than that, they kind of got into the ball a little bit more defensively, started picking us up at 25, 30 feet and making our life a little harder getting into our offense right away. Outside of that, I just thought they kind of stuck with what they did.
John and Matt, you guys can work together. Who goes next? Just you guys are usually alternate. Do your thing.
I don't know if Matt's in here, but I'll just go ahead. Ryan, the turnovers are obviously the number that you see the box going, your eyes kind of gravitate toward that. How do you explain the mistakes and how do you work to try to correct that as you guys move forward?
I think it'll get corrected by just showing up every day in practice and doing what we do. A few of those turnovers were inches away from being a great offensive possession. Some of them were careless. But that's stuff that has to get corrected for us to be a really good team, and we're really close. So that's encouraging. But we'll correct it in practice, and I think we'll learn from this game a lot, and hopefully learn quickly and flush it from our system.
Hey Ryan, sorry my internet cut out, so if you got asked this already, I do apologize. I just was curious. You guys are up 5 at the half, but there was a stretch there where you turned over on 9 of 10 possessions. I just wonder how, when you look back on it, how costly do you feel like that was in terms of just a missed opportunity to build yourself a bigger cushion going into the break?
Oh, that's a big opportunity missed, and especially during that, I feel like we got to try and get something at the rim, get an easy 2, kind of break their rhythm, break us out of that little funk. But like I said earlier, I felt like we were really close on a lot of our passes, but then we were also careless on some that we got to get corrected.
Ryan, from a player's perspective, we've talked to some of the guys about not being able to play and get into that routine. And I just wonder, from your perspective, how important is that to get reps? What is this team missing? The fact that you've only played this is your 3rd game in a month basically, which is kind of crazy.
It's really hard to get in a rhythm when you play 3 games, and especially when they're so spread out. We played 2 games over break was all, and normally Christmas break, that's where you kind of you kind of find that stride because you get a few days to work on yourself, and then you get turned right around and get started with conference season, and then you start finding yourself. And obviously we've had quite a few games get postponed, so it's really difficult to get in a rhythm. It's difficult to show up every day to practice, but I think this young group has done a really good job of being mentally engaged in practice and bringing good intensity and energy every single day. It's unfortunate that we don't get to play games, but we can't control that. We have to control what we can, and that's showing up every day and get better at practice.
We'll do three more.
Defensively in the second half, it seemed like Xavier had success just facing up and attacking mismatches to get inside as opposed to trying to get traditional post touches. How tough was that to corral once they started having some success with that?
I think what set them up for that had to be their ability to cause turnovers for us. Our offense did not set our defense up very well. We got out in transition quite a bit because we didn't take care of the ball offensively, and those two correlate really well. If you guard the ball pretty well, you're going to have a great offensive look, and if you don't get a great offensive look or you turn it over, you're scrambling, you're on your heels in transition, and they kind of 4 or 5 times in a row got that advantage on us.
I don't have anything else.
I'm good.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
That'll be it.